Nobody notices money. Money changes everything. Outside of money.
Good morning, Twin Cities. We're back. Dawn Eldridge with Remax Results.
Yeah, welcome back, Stephanie Havel with Wells Fargo Home Mortgage. I was thinking, yeah, money changes everything. Hopefully for the good. You know,
Yes.
People ask, what do you want to make? I always say I want to make more money so I can be more generous. So and people always think money means greed, but a lot of good things can be done with money.
Yes.
And that's kind of what we're talking
I've
about.
heard that there's quite a bit of money that Wells Fargo is doing for
good,
people.
Good tee up, Dawn. I like
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So, well, we have Ed Nelson here with the Minnesota Homeownership Center. And so two things before we get into that, Dawn, I was going to say I went to, I'll hold up my Batsy box. You guys heard me talking at the top of the hour that I was at the Builders Association of Twin Cities. And yeah, they had talked about a great program they have as well. And I think, Ed, because I apologize, I was writing it down. I didn't get to the link, but you said you know a little bit about that program also that Batsy has.
Yeah, there's matching programs. Batsy has one of them, and lots of different nonprofits have them, as well as some of those matched savings programs for saving for down payment, as well as credit building type programs. And one of the advantages of working with one of the nonprofit housing or homeownership advisors or housing counselors is that you don't need to know every single program. You don't need to remember. I remember that Stephanie Havel told me about Batsy. No. You can just talk to one of the nonprofit counselors, and they know all of them. And they know the requirements. They know who qualifies, who doesn't, income minimums, maximums for those kinds of programs. And so working with the nonprofit counselor, they'll be able to connect you with the right. They'll be able to connect you with the right people where to go to get any of these matching funds or credit repair improvement.
And that was actually going to be one of my questions too. Is do I have to come in for an appointment, or do you do phone appointments as well?
Yeah, it can be done over the telephone as well. Okay. Especially, if people have mobility issues, or if people are living out in, if they're up in International Falls, where you're not going to expect them to drive down to the cities.
Okay.
There are 40 organizations that work within our network, scattered throughout the state of Minnesota. So there are services available just about everywhere. But in some cases, especially in greater Minnesota, the distance may be, it may be 2 or 3 hours to get into the organization. No, we'll work by phone. We do we're putting into play a lot of technology so people can be, Skype and other things where they can get the same information, get that same quality information, but without having to leave their own home. Yeah, it's one of the things we do here in the cities. We'd love to have you come in, but if that just can't work, we'll work around your schedule.
Resources.
We want to make sure that you get the resources. We don't want our office hours to be a barrier for you not getting that information.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Well, yeah. So I was going to say, and I appreciate. The opportunity. Sometimes the media doesn't always play favor to certain organizations, and so or focus on the great things that a lot of large corporations do, such as Wells Fargo. So what I wanted to talk about, I know a coworker of mine, a colleague, was on a different radio station yesterday talking about a program. So Wells Fargo has, it's called Get Lifted, and what we did is we donated $425,000 to LSS, Lutheran Social Services. And I know, Ed, you're a little bit more versed on it and can kind of share in the previous segment you had talked about. I think you said your statistics about African American and driving home ownership. And Wells Fargo has been in the news for our philanthropic actions regarding that, and I think that's a little bit what this Get Lifted program is about as well. So, kind of on behalf of the Home Ownership Center, but for teeing up for Wells Fargo, will you share a little bit more about the Get Lifted program?
Sure. The Get Lifted program is actually one of many things that Wells Fargo does to promote asset building, actual wealth creation among what I would consider hard-hit communities, or communities that have had traditionally barriers to wealth creation, barriers to home ownership. And so the dollars that, and I'm certainly not an expert on this, so don't write in. Complain to Stephanie if I say something that I'm not supposed to say. But the focus of these dollars is to either for nonprofit organizations or for individuals to promote the financial well-being, financial wellness in the communities of North Minneapolis and the east side of St. Paul. And so there are dollars that are available to nonprofit organizations. They can apply for these dollars in order to teach the skill sets that are necessary to build to really participate in the current financial structure, to be able to build assets, to be able to know, how do we save? Why is it important that I understand my credit and credit score? Why is having a good number important? Why is, why can the interest rate both play against me and in my favor, long term trying to build wealth? And there are also grants that are available to individuals as well to learn these things and to become message carriers for this thing called asset development or wealth building in their communities. And so it is on the Wells Fargo page. So if they were to look up the Get Lifted information, Wells Fargo has been using that lift concept there's Neighborhood Lift, which is a down payment and entry cost assistance program through Wells Fargo. So this is one more opportunity just to get lifted. The local nonprofit, our network of organizations throughout the state, is familiar with this program as well as lots of others that people can use to access, sustainable homeownership and asset building, real wealth creation. And so as always, we appreciate what Wells Fargo does, both for us as an organization, but for the communities here in the Twin Cities.
Well, and I think, like you said, driving your message. So, and I'll make sure that we get that information on the Stockwell Eldridge Facebook page as well.
Yep.
Or
and then
you can
there's
always...
also the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
You can re-listen to it if people that are listening. We also YouTube it, so the YouTube will show up usually in a couple days.
Okay, yeah. So and also I have my website, stephaniehavel.com, that you can find, contact me to get those resources. But I think it's kind of even what the whole crux of even your organization, it is about, getting money, there's down payment assistance, all that, but it really just keeps going back to the education. And again, I think we get it so often and stuff that I even have to coach my team on, as we get people who come to us and they're buying a second home, they're buying a vacation home, or they're buying investment property. And we just assume that, well, they've already bought a house, so they're good. Well, or people are helping their children buy a home, and they haven't bought their home. They bought their last home 25 years ago. And so it really is at any age, at any experience level, even if you're looking to buy investment properties or second home, there's a lot of information that you can get for free or by contacting the Homeownership Center. The other thing I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but maybe for people who are wondering, there is a lot of privacy concerns out there. And, sometimes we have people too who will come to us for some financial information, and we have programs that we refer them to. And as well, if I talk to this nonprofit, are you going to go back and tell Wells Fargo about all my stuff? Or are you going to share it with now all these I'm going to start getting all these phone calls and all this solicitation from everybody now that wants to, everybody
try and sell me something.
Everybody, or do I have to pay to fix my credit and, all these calls and, is the information kept confidential, or how does that work?
That's a fantastic question. Everything we do within our network of organizations is kept entirely within our network of organizations. People will share, the organizations, like I said, there's 40 different organizations that work under our umbrella. They will share aggregate data with us. We will not see, Stephanie Havel at XYZ address came in looking because her credit needs work, We'll never see or share, and nothing leaves our network. We never sell or divulge any of that information. If you come in, we will share and give you lots of information, but we will never share that information out with anyone else. Never, ever, ever, ever will that happen in our network. And we abide by all of the disclosures that are required by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, by the Commerce Department, by others. And it's just not how our model works. We are education and information so that people can build assets, can build wealth, can really access successful, sustainable homeownership. We are not trying to make money selling your information. It's just not who we are, a part of what we do.
So it actually, I'm sorry, reminded me of a question I was going to ask you earlier when before the last segment we broke, is because we get people, I've talked before about, the lender that you push the button and you get a pre-approval. But, we get people, we offer, programs through the Minnesota Housing, the Neighborhood Lift, down payment assistance, and now, there's rumors that there's all these other programs out there. And people are saying, well, I'm not going to go with Wells Fargo, I'm going to go with this other lender because they told me I only have to put 1% down. So is that something that they could come to the Homeownership Center? So say I went online and I pushed a button and I got a pre-approval from this online lender and I have something from Wells Fargo and I don't understand.
Yeah.
Is that something you could help them with?
That's exactly right. What some of the homeownership advisors or the housing counselors can actually do is help people understand, compare apples to apples. Because just because you pushed the button and magically you got an approval in 15 minutes, and perhaps it looks like on paper this one may be a little more expensive, or this one may. There are so many things that go into, I always joke about that fact that it's really ugly how a sausage gets made, but we us insiders at the Home Ownership Center and our network of nonprofits understand every ingredient that went into making that sausage, and so we can help buyers really compare what's in their best long-term interest, and things that people don't understand with possible if they've got an arm, or we have seen, and some of the most of this has ended. It's no longer in our market, but we've seen very dangerous products come back. We've seen things hidden in
Right.
fine print on people's mortgages that would make it'd make you lose the rest. You'd look like me, Stephanie, if you it'd make your hair all fall
It
out,
is
and it can
concerning.
be extremely dangerous for buyers who just don't know what they're doing and they sign on the bottom line. We want to make sure people know what they're doing when they buy their first home.
So what's your website again?
HOCMN.org.
Minnesota Homeownership Center. Ed Nelson.
You can find it on our Facebook page too at the Stockwell and Eldridge Radio Hour.
Yeah, stay tuned. We'll be back. I'm Stephanie Havel with Wells Fargo Home Mortgage.
Thanks for listening. I'm Dawn Eldridge with RE/MAX Results.